Hello and welcome to the Spiritual Life Coach Podcast. I am your host, Erica Haynes. On this podcast, we'll use spiritual truth and spiritual tools to lighten up your challenges. Today's episode will show you how to know you're in your ego and therefore creating a special relationship rather than a holy relationship, meaning you're on a path to hell versus heaven. The main thing we do in relationships that leaves us super vulnerable is make the relationship the source of love rather than bringing love into it. Is make the relationship our source of love rather than bringing love into it. But what we talked about in the last episode is the situation where I thought I was bringing love into it, but there was still this really powerful wounded inner self that wanted to win, earn, and receive love because of that. So I wasn't giving love as much as I was still trying to get it and secure it for myself. Today I'll show you how you can know how it feels when you're doing that and how you know when your ego is running your relationships. Today I want to talk about this paragraph in the Course in Miracles. My holy brother, I would enter into all of your relationships and step between you and your fantasies. Let my relationship be real to you, and let me bring reality to your perception of your brothers. They were not created to enable you to hurt yourself through them. They were created to create with you. This is the truth that I would interpose between you and your goal of madness. Be not separate from me, and let not the holy purpose of atonement be lost to you in dreams of vengeance. Relationships in which such dreams are cherished have excluded me. Let me enter in the name of God and bring you peace, that you may offer peace to me. Let me read the paragraph that came before this. It is still up to you to choose to join with truth or with illusion. But remember that to choose one is to let the other go. Which one you choose, you will endow with beauty and reality, because the choice depends on which you value more. The spark of beauty or the veil of ugliness. The real world or the world of guilt and fear. Truth or illusion. Freedom or slavery, it is all the same, for you can never choose except between God and the ego. Let's stop there. I still don't really know how to do this. What I do know is that when a relationship is feeding our ego and making us feel chosen and special and invincible and happy, but it's coming from another, a brother, as a source, that's the ego. And if you can only choose between truth or illusion, God or the ego. When you start to attach to someone else or use someone else as your source for those things, when they truly come from yourself or God, that's choosing the ego. Another way to know that you've chosen the ego is when you want to win. And in relationships, there are power struggles. In the world and modern dating culture, there are power struggles. So much strategy and masculine and feminine teachings about dating and relationships are about winning. And very often, if we get hurt, rejected, or lose someone, we can't let them go because we want to win. Even when you're clearly losing the war to win the battle, meaning you know that it isn't ultimately serving you to keep fighting this war. You know that feeling when you're caught up in a power struggle or at the point of a shocking, drastic shift in a relationship where you're just scrambling to get back to the level you were at. You're just desperate and irrational in that moment, and no reasonableness is present in that moment. You're aware that you're ignoring rationality and logic. I think what I was talking about in the last podcast, when I dedicated my relationship to the Holy Spirit, it didn't feel like it brought me peace. It didn't feel like it worked. My best recommendation on how to make a relationship holy is something I've read that sounds good, because I haven't done it. I've done it in the long run, but I don't think I've done it in a relationship in the present moment of the relationship, though I've tried. I would have to guess that I was still doing it for my ego. The recommendations are decisively turn it over to Holy Spirit over and over and over. This Reddit commenter, Viva Divine, said she'd do it at night before she went to sleep. Number 2, deepen my relationship with the atonement, oneness. I'm only ever in one relationship with God, and everyone is God. I am complete. 3. Focus only on the loving thoughts I had about myself and the person. 4. They did nothing wrong. Forgive the past actions to come to a place where there's absolutely nothing to forgive. 5. Anytime my mind wandered to the specialness, consciously shift my thoughts to God. Now, don't use this to stay in a relationship that's unhealthy for you. I'm not a proponent of the spiritual bypass. We have to walk in both worlds. Spirituality helps us to eventually navigate this world more easily and walk less in this world. Walk more along a spiritual plane. That doesn't free you from your karma, and by karma I mean actions that you must take. Karma means action. There's a deeper lesson here that I'm realizing now that I'm editing this podcast. The overall message of this podcast is when we create from the ego, what we're going to get is a deep experience of the ego. That deep experience of the ego can be the shattering of your self-worth, the sense of self-destruction you experience when this relationship doesn't work the way your ego wanted it to work. And there's a sentence I can't recall at the moment, but God will use the holy relationship to teach you, or God will use any relationship to teach you about the holy relationship. And that's exactly what's happening there. You created a relationship from what is not love, and God is showing you what actual love is. It feels like God is punishing you, and you did something wrong, and you're in pain, and it's not supposed to be like this. You're supposed to be with the person, and that's what makes you happy. But God is showing you, you were thinking about yourself all wrong. You were thinking about love all wrong. And that's what hurt you. It is time to check out my website. I thought it was going to be done when I started this podcast back in August, but now is actually the divine time. So here it is, ericamhaines.com. Go there, read all about it, schedule a free session so you can experience love, holy love, instead of pain. If that sounds good, I think you should go. Check out my website. Love it, because that was a 10-year birthing process. And click on the link and schedule a session. I'll see you then.